Hi, Matt Gillogly here with SRP Medical Marketing again, and what we're going to talk about in this video is pricing. Okay, what we're focusing in on is how do we get so that you can convert more of your prospects into treatment plans. Okay, now in the past couple of videos, I've talked about logic versus emotion. We want to get them into emotion. We went over the 3 questions that you want to ask to be able to get people into emotion. Now we're going to talk about pricing. Now let's talk first and foremost about money. Most people I know have a hard time asking for money. They think that something is too expensive or they would never pay that. But you have to remember, you are not your prospect. You aren't in the pain that they're in. Or if you're lucky enough that you've been through one of the procedures and you now know what life is like pain-free, then you obviously understand the benefit of it. But let's just walk through this of some of the key things that you want to focus in on when it comes to pricing. Okay. Now I believe that most practices are woefully underpricing their services. They are not asking for enough for what they do. And I think a lot of that is because of what goes on up here in the brain. And we're going to talk more about that. We'll talk more about that at another time. But here's how I would break this down if I were sitting across from a patient. So after I've taken them through the emotion that they're envisioning a better life for themselves, that they're going to be able to have a better physical life, they're going to be pain-free. You've discussed to them kind of the basics of how the procedure works. Again, we don't want to go on a whole lot of detail about how the procedure works, just the basics of it, okay? Then we're going to talk about the cost, okay? So let's just say that for a regenerative medicine, you're charging anywhere between $7K to $15K, okay? Let's just assume this, okay? You may be charging a little bit more, you may be charging a little bit less, but again, let's just start with that, okay? Now, the first and foremost thing is that you have to understand what are their options, okay? Their options that they have are very, very simple. They can continue to live with the pain and get addicted to opioids, not a very good option. They can do surgery, okay? Now, I would basically lay this out for the patient. I would say, look, here are your options, okay? And I'm just going to lay these out for you. You're going to make the decision, Mr. or Mrs. Patient. I'm just here to give you information, okay? The key is that, okay, here's where you are right now. You can continue to do what you're doing, okay? There's this option right here. You can continue to do what we're doing. You can do surgery, which is painful and expensive, or you can do our regenerative medicine treatment. Now let's walk through the cost of the surgery. Even with insurance, and remember, most people don't have very good insurance plans, okay? A lot of them, this is going to be like an 80-20. Depending on your insurance plan, you could wind up paying out of pocket $5,000 to $8,000, okay? A lot of this depends, okay? But a lot of people, you got to remember, a lot of people, their insurance plan is so-so. It's not that great, okay? You very well could be paying anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000 for the surgery. That's going to include your anesthesiology fee, the surgery fee, rehab. When you factor in all of those things, and they're going to be paying $100 here, 20% of the cost there, etc., it can add up pretty quickly. The next thing is that you have the risk factors of surgery. Well, we all know that there's some tremendous risk factors of going into surgery. I mean, granted, the anesthesiologists are very good these days. The risk factor of dying is lower, significantly lower, but there's a risk factor of infections, okay? Sick from the anesthesia. The next thing is downtime from work. And if I'm 50 plus years old, the last thing I want to do is, quite frankly, be out of work, because then the young whippersnapper may come along and take my job, okay? So there's the downtime from work. And if I'm working at a plant or something like that, I don't want to be off the floor for a month to 2 months. I mean, that's their camaraderie, okay? Remember, that's for a lot of these guys, that's where they get their sense of worth, okay? Then there's rehab, the time of rehab, the time away from work, the time it's going to take, the pain of rehab. And then the last thing is the pain and discomfort of opioids. Okay? So there's the pain, there's the discomfort of the surgery, and then there's the potential that you could become addicted to opioids. So when you add this up, risk factors and downtime from work, you could have a lost job. I have heard of that happening. Again, you want to kind of lay this out. And then what you want to do is say, over here, with regenerative medicine, it's very, very simple. You're going to come in, you're going to do the procedure. Depending on the type of regenerative medicine, some cases they're going to be able to drive themselves there and drive themselves back. In some cases, they're going to need somebody to drive them home. Big deal. But they can be at work the next day. They're not going to be downtime from surgery. They're not going to run the risk of getting an infection. Rehab will be a minimum. They're not going to have the pain of the surgery and learning how to re-walk again, or use a shoulder again, or use a hip again. They're not going to have that discomfort. There's very low discomfort factor, and they're not going to run the risk of being addicted to opioids. And these are all real factors, okay? So what you have to do is you've got to paint this picture of why. You can't just assume they're going to see the benefit of regenerative medicine. You have to painfully point it out to them as to the benefit of it. All right? Now, if you'd like to have me go over your individual script, if you have one, or if you don't have one, you need help developing one, feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to give you a one-time 45-minute consultation for free, and I guarantee that you will be pleased with it. You can read about the guarantee on the page, but very simply put, I guarantee that I can help you make another $10,000, or I'll make a contribution to a favorite charity of yours. So, this is Matt with SRP Medical Marketing. Have a great day.